After noticing a strange clump of dirt, a dog owner is puzzled. But as he begins to uncover what the clump really is, his amazement unfolds. Everything happened in an instant. As usual, Max was ahead, his black and white fur full of energy. His owner, Oliver, let his thoughts drift, thinking about his upcoming plans, when suddenly Max stopped, his nose twitching and ears perking up. He had sensed something unusual. "Max, come here, boy," Oliver called, but Max had already darted forward, pushing through the bushes toward a narrow dirt path beside the main road. Oliver sighed, quickened his pace and followed. When he finally caught up with Max, he saw the dog standing still, staring intently at something on the ground. It just looked like a clump of dirt, half buried in the clay path. At first glance it was covered in hardened mud, and seemed insignificant to the untrained eye. "What did you find, boy?" Oliver asked, crouching down to inspect it. He cautiously prodded the clump with his index finger. It was solid, rough and oddly shaped, almost like a small boulder or piece of stone, but something about it felt eerie. Max nudged it with his nose, letting out a quiet whimper. Oliver, now intrigued, felt a growing sense of unease. He brushed off some of the hardened dirt with his fingers, revealing a small section of something underneath that surprisingly wasn't dirt. He examined it closely and his curiosity sparked. "Well, well," Oliver muttered. The surface beneath the dirt wasn't hard like stone or firm like clay. It was softer, more flexible. When he pressed slightly, it gave in a little, almost like skin. Max whimpered again, this time more insistently, pushing Oliver to take action. Max's unusual distress was odd. He was usually a calm dog, especially on their walks. Something was really bothering him. "All right, Max, let's find out what this is," Oliver said, his voice a mix of curiosity and concern. He picked up the clump, noting its surprising weight. It was heavier than it looked, as if it carried something inside. With Max by his side, Oliver walked back toward town, his mind swirling with questions. What had they found? Was it some kind of creature trapped in the dirt, or something else entirely? As they approached the village centre, Oliver spotted the familiar sign of Brent Lodge Wildlife Hospital, a small but well-known veterinary clinic that had served the area for years. The clinic was run by a dedicated team passionate about animals, dealing with everything from injured wildlife to abandoned pets. If anyone could clarify this mystery, it would be them. Oliver pushed open the clinic door, triggering the bell above. The receptionist, Emma, a warm and friendly woman, looked up from her work. Her smile faltered when she saw the concern on Oliver's face. "Oliver, what brings you here today? Is Max okay?" she asked, glancing at the dog, who was obediently sitting beside Oliver, still staring at the object in his owner's hand. "It's not about Max," Oliver replied, his voice laced with worry. He held up the dirt-covered object, partially obscured by layers of dried earth. "We found this on our walk. I can't tell what it is, but something feels off." Emma frowned and examined it. "I'll get Dr. Harper," she said quickly, disappearing into the back room. A moment later, Dr. Laura Harper, the clinic's lead veterinarian, emerged, wiping her hands on a towel. She was a tall woman in her 30s with a calm demeanour that reassured both animals and their owners. But when she saw the object in Oliver's hands, her expression shifted to concern. "Let's take a look," she said, gesturing for Oliver to place it on the examination table. Oliver complied, and Dr. Harper began her examination. Her hands, showing years of experience, carefully removed the layers of dried dirt. As the mud crumbled away, the hidden shape became clearer. Dr. Harper's eyes widened slightly as more of the object was revealed. What had seemed like just a lump of dirt was slowly proving to be something else entirely, something alive. "Oh my God," Dr. Harper murmured under her breath. She turned to Emma. "Get me a warm cloth and some isotonic solution, quickly." Emma nodded and hurried to the back room, returning shortly with the requested items. Dr. Harper dipped the cloth into the warm solution and began carefully wiping away the remaining dirt. Beneath the hardened layers emerged a tiny, curled-up hedgehog, its spines hidden beneath a thick crust of dirt. It was barely breathing, its small body trembling from the cold. "It's a hedgehog," Dr. Harper confirmed, relief and worry in her voice. Poor thing must have gotten stuck in the mud, and the earth hardened around it. "It's a miracle it's still alive." Oliver stared at the tiny creature, his heart filling with sympathy. "Can we save it?" he asked, his voice tight with emotion. "Yes, I believe so," Dr. Harper assured him, immediately springing into action. "We'll do everything we can." Emma prepared a warm bath at a moderate temperature. Overheating the hedgehog could be dangerous. Dr. Harper carefully lowered the tiny creature into the water. As the warmth spread through its body, it let out a faint squeak, but Dr. Harper's hands remained steady, her movements gentle and precise. Gradually the dirt softened and fell away, revealing the hedgehog's natural brown and white spines. Its tiny legs trembled as warmth finally reached its stiff body. For nearly an hour, Dr. Harper and Emma worked tirelessly, ensuring every last bit of hardened dirt was removed. When the hedgehog was finally clean, they wrapped it in a soft towel, patting it dry. It was still weak, but its breathing had stabilized. "It's still critical," Dr. Harper said, "but we'll keep it warm and give it fluids." Emma nodded, carefully carrying the hedgehog to the recovery area. Dr. Harper turned to Oliver, who had watched the entire process with deep concern. "I'm glad you brought it in when you did," she said seriously. "If it had stayed outside any longer, it wouldn't have survived the night." Oliver let out a breath, realizing he had been holding it. "Thank you, Dr. Harper. I had no idea. I thought it was just a clump of dirt." "You did the right thing bringing it here," Dr. Harper reassured him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Now it's our job to see it through." Days passed, and the hedgehog's condition steadily improved. It started eating soft food, responding to the care it received. Slowly, its natural instincts returned, and it began exploring its enclosure. When the time came for release, Oliver, Max and the clinic staff took the hedgehog to a safe woodland area, away from busy roads. They set the small creature down, letting it decide when to step into the wild. At first, it hesitated. Then, after a final glance at its rescuers, it disappeared into the undergrowth. Oliver felt a mix of pride and sadness. He had grown attached to the little creature. Weeks later, as Oliver prepared dinner, Max suddenly perked up, his ears twitching. Before Oliver could react, the dog ran to the back door, barking excitedly. "Max, what's wrong?" Oliver called, following him. When he opened the door, he froze. Curled up on the doorstep was the same hedgehog. Oliver's heart swelled. "You came back," he whispered, reaching out. The hedgehog sniffed his fingers before slowly stepping forward, almost as if it had just stepped out for a moment. Max wagged his tail enthusiastically, gently nudging the tiny visitor. Oliver smiled, feeling warmth fill his chest. Some bonds, it seemed, were unbreakable.